Welcome everyone to another enlightening episode of Healing Pathways, Navigating Transformation with Juanita. I'm your host, Henry Woodcock. Joining me is a transpersonal therapist and founder of Energy Gateways, Juanita Puddifoot. Today we're diving into the transformative world of therapy sessions. Welcome, Juanita.
Hi Henry, it's good to be here.
Juanita, for those interested in having a session with you, can you walk us through what they can expect?
Absolutely. If you're interested in booking a session with me, the first step is to visit my website, energygateways.com, and explore what kind of therapy and support I offer. Then use the contact email or telephone number provided and leave a short message. We can then arrange a date and time to discuss things briefly. Depending on the issue, we may need to arrange a 30 minutes or 1 hour assessment session where we can really discuss things in more detail. Again, there may be the need for me to have more in-depth details, and I would forward an email with a short list of questions for you to fill in return. Following this, we can arrange a session, whether online or face-to-face. Now, the length of the session really depends on several points. What you wish to explore, as this may determine the method that I use. And to give some examples, if I use the techniques of deep memory process, which is a body-focused approach, then sessions are usually from 1.5 to a maximum of 2 hours long. Alternatively, if the work involves a shamanic journey, this could be within a 1 hour session. Usually each session tends to have time for discussion at the beginning and the end, with a therapeutic section in the middle.
That sounds thorough. What happens during this initial discussion?
During the initial discussion, we'll explore what they wish to work on and what their expectations are. I will also share the different methods I use and make suggestions of how we can work together. And here are some examples. One client arranged a 1 hour session to discuss all the associations, connections with the repeating pattern in her life she wanted to change. How this was affecting her, how could she see the repeating patterns in different ways from her childhood to adulthood, and even in her extended family playing out. We then arranged sessions of 1.5 hours with a 1 hour session after 2 weeks to discuss how things had changed or had they stayed the same and what insight she had gained in her process. We arranged this configuration of sessions for once a month for about 3 months. Then we had a review to discuss what the client wanted to work on in the future. Another client arranged a 2 hour session every 3 weeks. We discussed how things have changed, moved, and what they wanted to work on each time, and I used different approaches. For several sessions, I used techniques to work with the inner child. When appropriate, I used shamanic journeying, and for some sessions, somatic body release was needed.
What are the kind of issues clients usually bring to you?
Clients come to me with a wide range of issues, which I've talked about in more depth in the podcast titled Issues Clients Bring to Therapy, so do check that out. But to give a short overview, clients bring any of life's issues, including requests to have one-to-one teaching to develop certain skills and abilities. Issues may range from repeating patterns, relationship difficulties, grief and loss, self-esteem issues, dissociation, lack of purpose and direction in life, or suffering the residues of trauma and abuse. Really any issue that is affecting a client's life in a negative way on any level of their being. The issues can be quite varied, and so the techniques I use are tailored to each client's needs. I have also recorded a series of podcasts which cover in more detail some of the influences that can be affecting clients, such as unresolved experiences from childhood and various soul wounds, ancestral residues, past lives, or spirit attachments.
Speaking of techniques, you mentioned a variety of methods. Can you elaborate on these?
Well, as a professional counsellor, I obviously use these skills and combine these with other techniques. Transpersonal therapy means that I focus on supporting clients to transform, heal, and integrate the inner splits and fragmentation that can occur on all levels of their being, mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. This could be using regression techniques such as I've mentioned, deep memory process to work on the influence of ancestors or past lives or spirit attachments, and approaches with a nature-based process such as shamanic practices of journeying, rituals and ceremonies, to methods that work with somatic body residues of suppressed emotions or the unresolved impulses from trauma. The choice of method or techniques I use depends on the specific issue the client wants to work with, which we discuss before any sessions.
It sounds a very personalised approach. How do clients know if you can help them?
The best way to determine this is through our initial discussion. It helps both of us understand if my methods align with the client's needs and expectations, if we decide to proceed, and then we can plan the sessions accordingly.
Where are these sessions usually held?
Well, this is an interesting point. This depends on where I am in the UK or abroad. If the sessions are online, the location doesn't matter. But for face-to-face work in the UK, I work at a centre in Bedfordshire. I'm also invited to be part of events and teach internationally, so face-to-face sessions can be arranged either side of these engagements in different countries.
That's good to know. Before we wrap up, what advice would you give to someone considering therapy and feeling a little bit hesitant?
I would say, first of all, arrange to have an initial discussion with me to really explore what are you seeking, how I work, and from this they will get a sense of connection with me. Because it is very important to have a connection with your therapist. Transpersonal therapy can be profoundly healing and transformative. The initial discussion is a good opportunity to address any concerns and see if working with me feels right for you.
Wonderful advice, Juanita. Thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your insights into therapy sessions.
Thank you, Henry. It was a pleasure to be here.
Thank you to our listeners for joining us on Healing Pathways Navigating Transformation with Juanita. If today's episode resonated with you, don't hesitate to reach out to Juanita. Her work is transformative and she's here to support you on your journey. Until next time, this is NG Gateway signing off. Take care. For more detailed information, visit the website nggateways.com or on YouTube search for NG Gateways with Juanita.